Hello, story lovers, and welcome to our very first episode. Today, we're diving into a tale about new beginnings, a whole lot of acorns, and a fluffy-tailed friend named Squeaky. Our story starts on a bright, sunny morning. A little red squirrel, Squeaky, stood at the bottom of the biggest, grandest oak tree he had ever seen. His tiny paws were planted firmly on the ground, but his heart was doing somersaults. This was it. His new home. His very own tree. He had a backpack stuffed with his favorite pinnacone, and around him were stacks and stacks of boxes. But these weren't just any boxes. Oh, these were boxes filled with his most prized possessions. Acorns. Big acorns, small acorns, shiny acorns, and even a few lumpy ones he'd saved for a special occasion. With a deep breath and a determined squeak, he grabbed the first box. It was heavy, much heavier than he remembered. He huffed and he puffed, wiggling his nose as he started the long climb up the trunk. The bark felt rough under his paws, a brand new texture. He was so focused on each step, placing one paw carefully in front of the other, that he didn't notice the bottom of the box was getting a little soggy. It had rested on a dewy patch of grass. He was about halfway up to the first big branch when it happened. A tiny drip, then another, and then, with a soft ripping sound, the bottom of the box gave way. Acorns, hundreds of them, came tumbling out. They bounced off the trunk, clattered against branches, and rained down all around him. Plink, plink, bump! Squeaky froze, his eyes wide with shock. A river of his precious acorns was flowing down the tree. He watched one particularly perfect acorn bounce off a mushroom and roll into a bush. His winter snacks, his moving-in feast, all gone. For a moment, Squeaky's ears drooped. This was not how he had imagined his perfect moving day. He pictured himself neatly arranging his acorns in his new hollow, maybe color-coding them. But now, they were scattered everywhere. Ill. He let out a little sigh and slid the rest of the way down the trunk, landing softly in the moss. He looked at the mess. Acorns were peeking out from under leaves, nestled in flower beds, and one was even bobbing in a puddle. Just as a tear started to well up in his eye, a chipper chirping sound came from a branch above. A little bluebird tilted her head. "Moving in?" she chirped. Squeaky just nodded sadly, pointing a paw at the acorn disaster. Then, from behind a toadstool, a chubby chipmunk popped out. He had an acorn in each cheek and held another one in his paws. "Finders keepers," he mumbled, his voice muffled. Squeaky was about to get upset, but then something funny happened. A rabbit hopped by, accidentally kicked an acorn. Rid, then rolled down a little hill and tapped a sleeping badger on the nose. The badger woke up with a snort, looked at the acorn with confusion, and then shrugged and started nibbling on it. Suddenly, the whole forest floor seemed to be alive. Other squirrels, birds, and even a curious deer were discovering his lost treasures. Instead of feeling sad, a strange warmth spread through Squeaky's chest. He looked up at the bluebird, who fluttered down beside him. "Looks like you're throwing a welcoming party," she sang. The chipmunk, whose name was Chester, scurried over and offered Squeaky the acorn he was holding. "Sorry," he squeaked. "Moving is tough." "My first time. I dropped all my berries in the river." Squeaky took the acorn. He looked at all the forest creatures enjoying his spilled snacks. His moving day was a total mess. Nothing was going according to plan. His pantry was empty, but he wasn't alone. He had already met a bluebird and a chipmunk. A grumpy badger was now his neighbor. He giggled. This wasn't the neat, perfect start he wanted, but it was fun. Hughes spent the rest of the afternoon not climbing and unpacking, but playing. He and Chester had an acorn rolling race. He showed the bluebird, Bella, the smoothest branches for perching. He learned that the badgeress' name was Barnaby, and he actually had a very friendly smile once he had a snack. They all worked together, gathering. The rest of the boxes Rich Squeaky now carried one at a time, helped him bring them up to his new hollow. Inside, it was cozy and smelled of dry leaves and fresh wood. It was empty, yes, but it didn't feel lonely. Chester gave him a handful of seeds as a housewarming gift. Bella promised to sing him a morning song every day. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Squeaky stood at the entrance of his new home. He looked down at the forest floor, now quiet and peaceful. A few stray acorns still dotted the ground, glinting in the last light of day. His moving day had been total mayhem. It was chaotic and messy, and nothing at all like he had planned. But as he snuggled into his new bed, a pile of soft moss he'd gathered, he felt a happy, contented feeling. The chaos had brought him friends. The mess had led to an adventure. He learned that a home isn't just about perfectly stacked acorns or having everything in its right place. It's about the warmth, the laughter, and the friendly faces that fill it. And as he drifted off to sleep, Squeaky knew, with absolute certainty, that even in the middle of all the chaos, he was finally home. And that's the end of Squeaky's moving day mayhem. It just goes to show that sometimes, the best plans are the ones that go completely wrong. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back soon with another adventure. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.